Convene is going off like a rocket. If you are new to this channel, please forgive me for this clickbait title, but I started an open source project a couple weeks ago and sheesh, have we made some progress. Let me start from the beginning and bring you up to date to where we are now. So the idea for this project and what it is supposed to be can be found in this video. But very quickly, it is a book club app that facilitates your book clubs. For the most part, it's to help people read books together and be able to connect over what they're reading. But it also lets you track your own reading if you prefer to do it solo. The idea started out as a closed source project that anybody can enter once you have a quick call with me. That was my big genius idea that I had. But really quickly, I realized that it was a little bit too much for me to just handle. I limited the meetings to 2 weeks so people can't book it out for the rest of the year, and those quickly got booked up in a couple hours, so I had to quickly put out an update video announcing that it's now going to be an open source project. So now you're pretty much up to speed. But the thing you might not know about is there has been some initial hurdles that we have had to overcome. The timing of this project was definitely not ideal for me. The Convene project was launched the week before I bought a new house, I had to move into this house, and it needed a lot of repairs right away. And then not only that, I also had a vacation booked 2 weeks after the move-in date. So it couldn't have come at a more inconvenient and busy time for me. But I stand by that decision. This was a project idea that I have had for probably over a year now. But I kept making up excuses and pushing it back more and more. But I finally had enough and said, screw it, we are starting now. So I did, and I like to think we overcame this hurdle because of all the amazing people that were able to join this project. First things first, I'd like to give a huge round of applause to Robert Brunhage, whatever. We actually talked about this project before I started it. Hey Robert, I got a great idea.
No,
trust me, it's really good. Basically, he really did not have time for it. He released a really great Flutter course, by the way, link in the description, just before this project launched, and he was also starting a brand new job. So when I say he didn't have time for it, I mean he really didn't have much time at all. And neither of us really know how he got roped into it, but he has been extremely helpful so far and has already helped a bunch of people, including me. Now before we go into the progress of the app, I wanted to introduce you to the starting lineup, the people that have stepped up and put in the work on Convene. First we got Afzal, aka the organizer, aka Mr. Fundamentals. He took this app from a proof of concept to a well-structured, well-tested app that people can contribute to. I think the way to a successful open source project is to start with something very basic, build the right infrastructure on top of that basic app, so that when you start implementing more and more, you're able to make sure it's quality and it makes it easier for multiple people to all contribute to it. The first thing Afzal set up was a local Firebase emulator, which I have actually never used before. This allows you to basically set up a Firebase instance on your machine and do everything you would do with Firebase normally, except it's locally. So it helps you prototype and test faster. Then he refactored and added some error handling with a functional programming approach with a package called Darts. So what is the functional programming approach and what does it look like? Well, you can explore the Darts package more deeply because there are a lot more things in there that are functional programming, but the main thing that we're using in Convene is the ability to return multiple data types. That enables us to either return a value or return a failure back to the thing that's calling that function. So let me give you an example. Let's say we're doing some sort of authentication. We can either return the information that we got from that authentication, or we get an error and we can return a data type of failure with all the information that you need. Then lastly, he added a bunch of testing with proper mocking of functions and all that good stuff. He turned that little proof of concept that I had into a production level project. If you're trying to learn more about production ready Flutter projects, I highly recommend you come take a look at it. And who knows, maybe even you want to try and work with it and contribute to it. So Afzal cleaned up the repo. Now the next step is to make the app look like it wasn't designed by a 5-year-old. This is where Varun took over. He's the UI guy who was fired from Apple because he was too good. He took the app from looking like this to this. Then we have the Grinch, who decided to switch it up this year and taking his focus from making Christmas terrible to more focus on making Convene successful this year. The Grinch is already a pretty good nickname for him, but if I had to think of another one, I would call him the low-key genius of the team. He's not there often as the others, but when he is, he makes a big impact. Then lastly, we got Gaith, aka the promising young superstar, who's still closer to a beginner, but learning fast, doing great help on the Discord, keeping it organized, and anything else that he can help with. Now, there are plenty others who have helped out a little bit too, and maybe next time I'll make an hour-long video giving nicknames to all of them. And if you want to join this superstar team, you know exactly where to find us. And if for some reason you don't know where to find us, it's all in the description. So now we have a decently structured Flutter project that we can expand on. We have a pretty nice UI going, and we have the team working together. And that reminds me, I think it's time to get back to work on it. By the way, I'm back to streaming on Twitch again, so go ahead and go follow me there if you're not already. It'll probably be mostly Convene stuff because that's kind of what interests me the most right now, but maybe we'll toss in a little bit of Rocket League here and there. So alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on there, and maybe on here. Maybe.